Okay, so this is ideally a consex speech, and you should do it without notes. It's about E prime, which is English, or it could be any language really, without the verb to be. Okay, let's go. In the 1960s, David Borland wrote an essay in which he proposed a radical overhaul of English. He said we should try and develop a new version of English without the verb to be. Now, David Borland was a student of Alfred Korzybski, who was the founder of a school of thought called general semantics, which was an approach promoting clear thought and clear communication. So Alfred Korzybski, who developed this general semantics theory, said that we use a number of tools in order to understand the world and navigate the world. One of the tools we use is language. But the problem, he said, is the map is not the territory. So we use language to describe the world, but language is not the world that we're trying to describe. And often we don't realize this, and that means that we open ourselves up to a whole lot of traps which can distort our perception of reality. And one of the biggest traps is the verb to be. The problems with the verb to be is we limit the meaning of what we say. For example, I am an interpreter. It seems that I have now defined myself. You know everything there is to know about me. But that doesn't leave space for I live in London, I enjoy baking, I cycle a lot. So if you just say I am this or you are that, it's very limiting. Another thing is that it can allow you to jump to conclusions and make assumptions. For example, Felix is Swiss. Ah, okay, so we know now that Felix lives only on chocolate. He has excellent timekeeping skills. He speaks French, Italian, and German, and he has a house full of cuckoo clocks. Because we've made all of these assumptions just from this one use of the verb to be. Or Andrea is Italian. Ah, so Andrea only eats pasta, and he has no timekeeping skills, and he's a mommy's boy. Can you see how inaccurate this is? We do not know this to be true. Another problem with it is it can limit us in the sense of being very definitive. If you say, I am a failure, it's like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I am a failure, I have defined myself as a failure, and I will always be a failure. If we rephrase this as, I have failed at this task, suddenly we freed ourselves. And it can also open the way to presenting opinions and judgments as if they're fact. Like if you say, you are wrong, what you actually mean is, I don't agree with you. But yeah, we tend to use the verb to be to present judgments and opinions as if they're facts. So E prime is the use of language without the verb to be in order to try and avoid these traps. Often the temptation when you try and start using E prime is to simply replace the verb to be with an equivalent verb. Like instead of saying, that outfit is ugly, you say, that outfit looks ugly, but it's really just the same thing. Or if you say, I am an interpreter, you say, I work as an interpreter, it's really just the same thing. You could say, this room is hot. To avoid it, you say, this room has a high temperature. It's the same thing, and to be honest, it's a bit awkward. So apart from making things just awkward, you're not actually really avoiding the verb to be, you're just replacing it with something else. And that defeats the purpose of E prime, because the purpose of E prime is not only to eliminate the verb to be itself, but to eliminate the distorted mental processes that make us use the verb to be. Now, since I read about E prime in the first time, I've started monitoring my own use of the verb to be. It's actually surprisingly difficult to stop using it. And I've realized how often I use it to express judgments, how often I say things like, this meal is delicious, when I actually mean I like it. Or, you're a very nice person, which actually to me means I like you or I admire your opinions. So I think it's a very useful process. It's not only a question of eliminating the verb itself, but it's a question of clearing up our mental processes and trying to change our own outlook on the world. And I very much recommend that you give it a try. Thank you.